Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutabada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sirupan Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sakana Narita Sri Vishakam Vidamsa Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatapate Gopesha Govigaganta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanjana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Madaram Maradebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murare Vedamita Nijadara Madhyana Pujariyatam Katamapi Sakridatam Muktinam Praninam Yat Paramam Ritam Ekanam Jivanam Bhushanam Me Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kolam Nastiva Gatiranyata. So we're reading from Jaiva Dharma, 6th chapter. So there was a debate between the Vaishnavas and the Smarta Brahmanas. From Smarta Brahmana's side, one Churamani was asking questions, and Vaishnav Das very expertly gave answers and firmly established the superior understanding of the Vaishnavas. So, the last question was by Churamani, how you can say there is no difference between the Aryans and Yavanas from the absolute point of view? So the Aryans are those who are following the Vedic literatures properly, and Yavanas are those who are not following the Vedic culture. So how there can be no difference, spiritually speaking? Because from the spiritual point of view, absolute point of view, everyone is eternal servant of Krishna. So there is no difference. But from the material point of view, so there's a difference there. So there's a great difference. The Aryans are following the Vedic culture. So they are usually worshipping the Lord. But whereas the Yavanas, under the most material nature, they do not follow the Vedic scriptures. They do not know properly what to do and what not to do. So Vaishnavadas is explaining that the devotees, so they're properly situated and they're engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So they're properly situated in Nitya Dharma, performing Nitya Sukriti, pious devotional activities, whereas others, so they are known as Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animals, because they're just interested in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, just like the animals. But because they are in a human form of life, so they may, by good fortune, come in contact with devotees, and then they may, even if they have just some slight inclination towards the devotees, then they may be benefited. So he was quoting some verses in this regard also. So that in the end he was saying, Vaishnava, that four transcendental objects are there to awaken spiritual consciousness. Mahaprasad, Krishna, Krishna Nam, and the Vaishnavas. So famous verses there which we are reciting every day before eating prasada. Mahaprasade Govinde, Namabari Vaishnave. Salpa Punivadan Rajan Vishwasonai Vijayate. Those who are fortunate, they have faith in Mahaprasad and Krishna Nam and Krishna and the Vaishnavas. But those who are not so fortunate, they don't have any faith in that. So then Churamani, he was smiling. Churamani smiled slightly at this statement. He said, "What kind of strange idea is this? This is simply the fanaticism of the Vaishnavas. They are fanatics. How can rice, dal and vegetables be chinmay, spiritual? There's nothing that you Vaishnavas are incapable of." So actually this verse is mentioning that those who have swalpa punya, alpa punya, those who have only slight spiritual merits or pious merits, punya, which is naimitika sukriti, they may not understand the value of the Vaishnavas, the holy names, and Mahaprasad. So, and I was mentioning it, but we know there's a great difference. If some only person is cooking rice, dal, sabji and chapati, and not offering to Krishna, if you eat that, it is okay. But if it is offered to Krishna, there's a big difference there. But even there we can see, so it depends also who is cooking and who is offering to the Lord. So that also makes a difference. If a great devotee is cooking for the Lord, that is a special Mahaprasad. If an ordinary devotee is cooking and that is offered to the Lord, that is something else. And then it depends on the pujari also who is offering. If he is thinking, wow, that looks nice, I'm looking forward to get that Mahaprasad, then there's a kind of contamination. Yeah, so therefore, so even Mahaprasad, it is offered to the Lord, but there's a first class Mahaprasad and then there's second class Mahaprasad. Krishna is merciful, but at the same time, if somebody is putting too many spices, of course should be not too blind either. The golden middle way. But sometimes, too many chilies and just fried completely, and not even fried in ghee, in some oil, whatever. Then there's one kind of taste, but if it is properly cooked with proper consciousness, with first class ingredient, then there's another taste. So there's a difference there also. And so if the ingredients are first class, which it should be when we are worshiping the Lord, if the cook is first class, if the pujari is first class, then Mahaprasad is first class, and then it is wow. But if ingredients are not so good, which sometimes it happens, the cook is not having the proper consciousness and the pujari either, then it is another kind of Mahaprasad. It may not be Chinmay completely. And Krishna may just say, okay. But then it may not be Adaramrit, he may just look at it, okay. But if it is cooked properly and offered properly, then Krishna will feel so much pleasure and he will be delighted. And then it becomes Mahaprasad, Adaramrit. Amrit, the nectar which touched the lips of Krishna. So Vaishnavadas is saying, whatever you do, please do not criticize the Vaishnavas. This is my humble request. In a debate, one should argue the points in question. What is the use of deriding the Vaishnavas? In this material world, Mahaprasad is the only food which is fit to be accepted because it provokes spiritual consciousness and dissolves one's materialistic nature. So if the Vaishnavas are properly situated, and then the Mahaprasad is Chinmoy, and then it will be helpful in developing our Krishna consciousness. It will help us to become also transcendental Chinmoy, and to become free from the modes of material nature. And and then so it is purifying the heart. Atasi Krishna namadi nabhave krayam indriya sevamukhe jivara swayameva spurati adaha. So we cannot see Krishna with material senses. But if the senses are purified by chanting the holy name, starting with the tongue, then sevamukhe jivado, if you have the sevan mukh, if the seva bhav is there, the mood of service is there, and by chanting the holy names with the tongue, and by taking Krishna Prasad, then the tongue and the senses, the consciousness are purified, and then Swayam eva spurat yadaha, then Krishna may reveal himself as he is. Therefore, Sri Supanishad said, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyena taktvena bunjitama grida kasya vidhanam. Remember that verse, Bhakti Shastra, you know by heart? Half. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatena taktvena bunjitama grida kasya dhanam. Everything animate and inanimate within the universe is situated in Ishwar and also pervaded by Him. Therefore, in a detached mood, one should accept only what is necessary for one's maintenance, considering all things to be the remnants of Ishwar. One should not be attached to another's wealth, consider himself to be the enjoyer. So everything is for the pleasure of the Lord, ultimately. And one should not be attached to another's wealth. Oh, this one has so much. Wow, he has a nice mobile. I should also have this kind of mobile. He has a nice Royal Enfield bike. Oh, it would be nice. Or like this. So we should be satisfied in our service to the Lord and try to minimize sense gratification. There's another verse, famous verse by Chanakya Pandit, which Prabhupada also quoted many times. Matrivat paradareshu paradaya vishavilostavat atmavid sarvabhuteshu ya pandita katitaha. So who is a pandit? Who is a learned person? Matrivat paradareshu. So paradareshu means except his wife, he'll see all other women as matrivat, just like a mother. Matrivat paradareshu. Paradravryeshu lostravat. Dravya, that means some possessions, gold or wealth or whatever it may be. Paradraveshu, belonging to somebody else. Paradravya, lostravat. Lostravat, just like a piece of dirt or just like a stone. It is insignificant. Like if you see a piece of stone or some dirt, you're not thinking, why I want to get that. So similarly, another person's things we should see in the same way. That is not mine, so I should have no attachment for that. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu. How we want to be treated, we should treat others. So, if you want to be treated nicely, you should treat others nicely. And so, a person who is having this consciousness is a learned person, is a Brahmana, is a Vaishnava. So, if you are, and actually it is also there, if you are not nice to others, then people will also not be nice to you. So that will come back to you. Yeah. As you sow that, ye will reap. As the American saying. Huh? Yes, what you sow that you reap. Huh? Bible, yeah. Yeah. So Americans are quoting, maybe the Europeans also. Yeah. So if you are sowing a mango seed, you will get a mango tree, then you will get some mangoes. So if you are good to others, then you will get good things back. Yeah. But if one is not treating others nicely, then it will come back after some time. What? Yeah, one mango seed. The devotees, they wanted mangoes.
But it came immediately.
Yeah. Usually mango tree it takes 15 years. Unless you have a hybrid mango tree, then it may come more quickly. But usually 15 years, 20 years, then you get the fruit. But Mahaprabhu, so the devotees, they want to eat mango, so mango festival. He had one seed, mango seed, he put in the ground, it sprouted the same day, and it was a hybrid. By Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then it grew immediately, and the mangoes were there. Big, nice mango. And he said no skin and no seed, means very little seed and thin skin, and very juicy. And they were eating one mango, they were feeling so much full and satisfied. Because that was manifested by Mahaprabhu's mercy.
Still that tree exists?
The tree now. It appeared and disappeared. Yeah, for 1 year they were eating every day mangoes. From that tree. So therefore we should, actually read the scriptures. We should hear from the devotees who are learned, and then we may have the proper consciousness. So then there will be sadachar, proper behavior, and then we can advance in our spiritual life. Whatever exists within the universe is connected to Bhagavan's potency. One will give up the worldly-minded spirit of enjoyment if he considers everything to be related to Bhagavan's Chit Shakti, spiritual potency. An introspective Jeev will not be degraded if he accepts only those worldly things that are necessary for the maintenance of his body, considering them to be the remnants of Bhagavan. On the contrary, his inclination towards spiritual consciousness will be aroused. So it is important to try to be a little renounced or controlled in regards to the enjoying spirit, and therefore it is recommended to follow Chaturmas, at least to some extent, and then Kartik Mas also. So, because the conditioned soul, he will have the enjoying spirit. Even he is becoming a devotee, the materialistic or the inquisitive person, but then the tendency is still there. But then by being engaged in Krishna consciousness, by endeavoring to become free, then slowly but surely one becomes free from the enjoying spirit. But an endeavor has to be there. And usually, so therefore it is recommended that one will follow, everyone will follow Chaturmas. And then, for example, Ekadashi also, to do some austerity, some tapasya, in order to purify the consciousness, in order to give up the enjoying spirit, so that one can be more dedicated towards the Supreme Lord and then advance more rapidly. So that is recommended. The remnants of food and other articles offered to Bhagavan are known as Mahaprasad. It is a great misfortune that you have no faith in such extraordinary objects. Churamani. Let us drop this subject and return to the original point of our discussion. What is the proper behavior between the Javanas and you people? Vrindavan Das. As long as someone remains a Yavana, we remain indifferent to him. However, when someone who was formerly a Yavana becomes a Vaishnav, by the influence of Nitya Sukriti, we no longer consider him a Yavana, in the sleeping mode. This is very clear in the following statement from the Padma Purana. So, Shudram va Bhagavad Bhaktam Nishadam Sapacham Tatha Dikshate Yati Samanyat Sayati Narakam Dhruvam, quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas. If one considers a devotee of Bhagavan to be a member of the lower of the four castes, Shudra, a member of an aborigine tribe of hunters, Nisara, or an outcast dog-eater, Sapacha, merely because the devotee has taken birth in such families, one is assuredly destined for hell. So one should not see the background of a devotee, but we should respect everyone who is taking up Krishna consciousness. But of course we may say that if one is born in a Brahmana family, so it is maybe a little easier to take up Krishna consciousness. If the family, Brahmana family, or if he is born in a Vaishnava family, it is a little easier to advance in Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, so everyone has a chance to advance, more or less, and so that has to be respected. And therefore, initially he was saying that from the absolute point of view, we don't distinguish between the Aryan or Yavana, or this is a Indian devotee, this is Western devotee. So, but we should see them all as Vaishnavas and not make any distinction like this as much as possible. But what is most important is the consciousness of the devotee, is the behavior of a devotee. Sometimes, so somebody who has taken birth in India or in a Brahmana family, Vaishnava family, he may be proud that I am superior. But a qualification of a Vaishnava is that he is always humble. He is very meek. He doesn't think he is very special. And he is respecting everyone. So whereas one who is born in a lower class family, he may then seriously take up Krishna consciousness, and then he may be truly humble due to the background, and then due to his endeavor in spiritual consciousness, and then he may advance quickly also. And also we don't know about the last life of a person. The ordinary person he will not see, he cannot understand. So therefore we should be careful in regards to judging others. But at the same time also we should not be foolish, and if we see that somebody is not behaving properly, then we should also not simply see, oh, he's a Vaishnava and no problem. No, but one has to behave properly. Sadachara, proper behavior has to be there. It's according to one's consciousness, according to one's speaking, according to one's acting, then we can see what kind of devotee he is. If he's first class, second class, or third class. But then even there, so we still see that everyone is an eternal servant of Krishna. But then we associate with those who are first class. We take their guidance, and then we hope that we may also become first class. Or those who are intermediate devotees, so if they are our level, then we can exchange our Krishna consciousness. If somebody is a neophyte devotee, then we try to help him, encourage him, so he may also make some advancement. So we are supposed to use our intelligence and discrimination also. Chudamani, I understand. Then can a Grihastha Vaishnava make a marriage relationship with a Javana family? Vaishnava does. From the general point of view, a Yavana remains a Yavana in the eyes of the general populace until he relinquishes his body. But from the absolute point of view, he is no longer regarded as a Yavana once he attains bhakti. Marriage is one of the 10 kinds of social rights, smarta karma. So, of course, even amongst the Vaishnavas, we have these samskars are there. Dasvida samskar. So sometimes 10 are mentioned, sometimes 16. There are even more, but the main ones are 10. Or if one is more particular or in following that, then 16s are followed. If a Grihastha Vaishnava is an Aryan, that is, if he is included within the 4 Varnas, he should only marry within his own Varna. So that is, of course, you have to see time, place and circumstances. But in India, even amongst the Vaishnavas, many times it is still there that they will see that conservative persons, they will see what is the Varna of the other person, and if they are not from the same Varna, then they will not do the marriage ceremony.
How do they see the Varna?
How to see?
Yeah.
Well, by birth. By birth.
And then there is question, by birth,
Yes.
by the moon or by Lagna? How it is in India? Because in the West, they're teaching us that we're supposed to consider the first house, this is the main one, and then the moon. And then, for example, first house you're Brahmana, and then
Right.
the moon you're Shudra. Then how?
Yeah. No, but here in India it is according to the caste system which is there. Like for example, Mishra, the surname Mishra is there, he is a Brahmana. Chaturvedi is a Brahmana. Like this, Thakur usually is a Kshatriya. Agarwal, Patel, Gupta, they are Vaishya. Like this. From this you can know. Yeah, that is there. So, and so sometimes still, also devotees, they are looking for this, especially in India, in some conservative families we know, sometimes they're looking. But not everyone, but some. So you have to see time, place and circumstances. And yes, so, but then as Vaishnavas usually, we may see astrology to some extent, but then we see the family also, we see the background, and then most important is the guna and the karma. So what is the quality of the devotee, what is his activity, and then you can see. Many times, even as devotees, they are born in Brahmana family, but they are not engaged in Brahminical activities. That you can see many times. Yeah. But it, yeah. 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 But I mean, even you talk about Vaishnavas, even in our society, yeah, but even in our society, sometimes there are many, they're born in Brahmana families, but they're not engaged in Brahminical activities. No, very few. So then, therefore, we have to see time, place, and circumstances also, and then we take guidance from the devotees who are experienced. And then we may also see astrology to get some idea of compatibility, so that may be there. And then one may decide. And actually then, if the devotees are sincere and humble, tolerant, and then mutual understanding is there, then everything will be fine. So maturity has to be there. So but like 500 years ago, they were a little more strict. And because the social pressure was there at that time, 500 years ago. So then even if one is, so from a Brahmana family, we'll try to marry somebody from a Brahmana family. So that was there. Even though the religious duties associated with the four castes are namitic in nature, they are still recommended for the maintenance of domestic life. One cannot become a Vaishnava simply by giving up the social customs of the four Varnas. Vaishnavas should adopt whatever is favorable for bhakti, and one can only give up the duties of the Varnas when he has become qualified to do so by genuine detachment. So that is important. So we're trying to become Vaishnavas, and we also say, so we're not trying to see he's a Brahmana, he's a Kshatriya, but we're seeing everyone as a Vaishnava. At the same time, we cannot deny that it is there. Even amongst the Vaishnavas, some are more Brahminically inclined, and some are managers, some are inclined to do business, and some are not very intelligent or capable of doing the upper class of activities, so they are just normal kind of workers, or they can do handicraft things, and so that is there. And therefore Prabhupada also, he mentioned towards the end of his life that 50% of my work is done by establishing temples, establishing the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, and engaging the devotees in studying the scriptures, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way they were engaged in the primary angas, limbs of devotional service. But then he understood also that devotees have to be actually engaged according to their psychophysical nature. And he saw that not everyone is Brahminically inclined. And so he saw that not everyone can remain brahmachari. And so therefore he said that now we have to establish Varna ashram also. Because the majority of the devotees, even who are joining, they will not be able to be detached completely from external activities, and so they may have to be then be put in a position where they can be safe and they can properly execute devotional service. So, and you can see that majorities of the devotees, they cannot be brahmacharis. Mostly they have to get married. And then even to be sannyasi is even more difficult. But Prabhupada in the beginning, he pushed the devotees also to take sannyas, just to preach, to encourage everyone. But he also knew that many could not actually remain sannyasis, because that is not easy. So therefore, you can see also practically that the majorities will be householders in society, and then some brahmacharis may be there, some sannyasis, and then vanaprasth may be there, and those who are householders, and after married life, then one has to withdraw from social life and live a simple life. Together maybe also vanaprasth, or sometimes the husband will also prefer to be alone and live in a detached way, but then making sure that the wife is taken care of nicely. And then, so the devotees therefore Prabhupada wanted Gurukul, but after Gurukul, so he was saying from 5 to 12 or 13, and after that should be Vana Ashram college. And the devotees then they can be engaged according to Vana and Ashram, and that they may be properly situated. And then by following Vana Ashram, then they may be able to follow nicely also Krishna consciousness, slowly but surely. So when one becomes qualified, then one can give up the duties of the 4 Vanas and everything associated with them. Vana Dharma can be given up easily. Vana Dharma can be given up easily when it becomes unfavorable to bhajan. Similarly, Yavana who has awakened faith in bhakti has a right to give up the association of the Yavana community if it becomes unfavorable for bhajan. Suppose that one Vaishnava is an Aryan who is qualified to give up the 4 Vanas, another Vaishnava is Yavana who is qualified to give up his community. Then what is the difference between them? Both of them have given up Vyavahar, that which relates to ordinary life, and both have become brothers in regard to Paramartha, spiritual reality. However, this principle of rejecting Vana Dharma does not apply to a Grihastha Vaishnava. A Grihastha Vaishnava should not give up domestic society until he is fully qualified to do so, even if it is unfavorable to bhajan. A Grihastha Vaishnava should not give up domestic society until he is fully qualified to do so, even if it is unfavorable to bhajan. So, however, he can easily give up worldly society when firm attachment and affection for that which is favorable to bhajan awakens in his heart. So one has to become attached to Krishna, to devotional activities, and then one can become detached from external activities, and then one may be able to enter the renounced order of life as a sannyasi or even as a vanaprastha. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Agyayaivam gunam dosham mayadishtan api swakan dharmam santyajya sarvan mam bhajet satu sattamaham. Sri Krishna says, in the Vedas have given duties to human beings, explaining what are positive attributes and what are faults, gun and dosh. So this is from the 11th canto, Krishna speaking to Uddhav. And there he has explained actually about Vana Ashram also. He has explained about pure devotional service, but then he has explained about Vana Ashram also, because it is required to follow. So in everyone in conditioned life has gun and dosh. Everyone has good qualities and some shortcomings. So, but generally we should try to see the good in others and not the faults. Unless if one is in a position of authority, then he has to correct the faults of the dependents. The parents have to take care of the child, and if the child is doing something wrong, then he has to tell. The spiritual master has to take care of the disciples, and if they're doing something wrong, then he has to correct them. One is considered the best of sadhus if he knows all this, but abandons his duties to worship me exclusively, with a firm conviction that all perfection may be attained by bhakti alone. So ultimately, so that, like even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parijajya mamekam sharanam vaja aham tam sarva pabebhyo muksheshami mashuchaha. So Krishna is saying, give up all kinds of dharma. So that refers to Varnashram Dharma also, and just surrender to me. That is a superior principle, to do whatever Krishna wants. But unless and until one is firmly attached to Krishna, detached from this world, so then one has to follow Varnashram also. And then slowly one can become detached and one can become attached to Krishna. This is corroborated by the ultimate conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parijyajya mamekam saranam vaja aham tam sarvapabhebhyo moksheshima suchaha. Abandon all varieties of Naimitika Dharma, such as karma and jnana, and surrender only unto me. Do not lament, for I will deliver you from all sinful reactions incurred by giving up your prescribed duties. This is supported further in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. Yada yasyanugrinati bhagavamatma bhavitoha sa jahati matim loke vede cha parinishtitam. Bhagavan bestows his mercy upon a jiva with whom he is pleased because of his self-surrender or his service to him by complete absorption of his inner faculties. At that time the jiva gives up attachment for all social customs and religious rituals prescribed by the Vedas. So Krishna is very merciful. Anugrinati, so to those who are fully surrendered to him. Parinishtita. And then the devotee, so at that point is giving up the attachment for social customs and the rituals of Varnashram Dharma. Churamani, can eat food, drink water and conduct other such activities with a Yavana who has truly become a Vaishnav? Vaishnav Das. A renounced Vaishnav who is indifferent to all social restrictions is known as Nirapeksha, without any needs or requirements. And he can honor Mahaprasad with such a Vaishnav. A Grihastha Vaishnav cannot sit and eat with him in the context of ordinary social or family dealings. But there is no such objection when it comes to honoring Vishnu or Vaishnav Prasad. In fact, it is his duty. So we have to see time, place and circumstances. So the time like 500 years ago, so the social pressure was much stronger, and so therefore one had to be a little careful in his dealings also. And even Mahaprabhu's time, for example, Mahaprabhu when he was in Jagannath Puri, so he used to accept prasadam only in the houses of brahmanas, and of course even sometimes he used to go to others also for prasad, but they were not cooking, they were just offering him Mahaprasad. But only those from Brahmana families, they were allowed to cook for the Lord, and he was accepting because that was the custom. And Mahaprabhu himself, he appeared in a Brahmana family, Mishra, Jagannath Mishra. And so then he was, of course, in his pastime he entered sannyas ashram, and then he was following the rules and regulations of the sannyasis at this time. But nowadays, so that is, of course, in some places like in South India, it is still strong, the tradition is still strong. And they will also, for example, in Madhav, and the Madhva Sampradaya, in Udupi, so those who stay in the mat there, Udupi mat, usually they are coming from Brahmana families. And then even there they will check the horoscope of the child, and if they say according to the horoscope that he may become a sannyasi, then they make him a sannyasi, otherwise not. And so they are more strict there. And the sannyasis, they will not mix with outside people. No outside person can come near the sannyasis there. The obeisance is also from a distance. So, yes, I've been a few times in Udupi, and so the senior sannyasis is always, when he's doing parikrama of the deities in the temple, or there's a procession, that he's always surrounded by at least 8 or 10 or 12 brahmacharis, so that no outside person can touch him. A junior sannyasi, then there are 3-4 brahmacharis surrounding him. You have been to Udupi? You have been? You have been? 5 times. Yeah, I've been also a few times. You have been 1 time, huh? 2 times? 1? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, we should go there again. Yeah. Maybe this winter.
So,
Jaipur. Jaipur, yeah. Yeah. So, anyhow, so we have to see time, place, circumstances. So in some places the social pressure is still there. Of course in the big cities like it may be not so strong, but then in the villages it is more strong, the social pressure, and then they will follow the certain rules. But then in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya it is not as strict. And even so Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so he welcomed everyone to come to the temple, to the mat and join the mat, irrespective of which background. And he made them brahmacharis, and some of them took sannyas also. Okay, then Churamani, why is it that Yavana Vaishnavas are not permitted to worship and serve the deities in the Vaishnava temples? Vaishnava Das, it is an offense to refer to Vaishnava as a Yavana, simply because he has taken birth in such a family. All Vaishnavas have the right to serve Krishna. If a Grihastha Vaishnava serves the deity in a way that breaks the rules of Varnashram, it is considered to be a fault from the worldly point of view. Nirapeksha Vaishnavas are not required to worship the deity because that would hinder their quality of being freed from all external requirements and dependencies. Nirapekshata. So at that time also, mostly the sannyasis, Nirapeksha Vaishnava means one who is detached. So they used to just chant holy names, they used to preach, they used to teach. And then mostly the Grihasthas, they used to worship the deities. And you can still see in South India, except in Udupi, there only the sannyasis are touching the deity of Udupi Krishna. If the brahmacharis, they cannot touch the deity. Very strict. They are resisting, but the sannyasi is serving the deity. The senior sannyasi, who is in charge of the worship for 2 years, he is the only one who is touching the deity. And then the assistant sannyasi, he may do artik, or if the senior sannyasi may get sick, then he may do the seva. He is assisting. But the brahmacharis are just there cleaning the paraphernalia and assisting the sannyasis. And so, but then they are getting trained up also, and some of them, they may become sannyasis also, but not all of them. Yes?
What do you think about this approach that only sannyasis, senior sannyasis can touch the deities, and those are just assisting? What do you think about it?
Well, it is okay there in the Madhva Sampradaya, because actually it was established by Madhvacharya, and because there's only one deity. And so it doesn't require so many persons to take care, and one person can do it easily, the seva. And so but he was very intelligent, Madhvacharya, so he made 8 monasteries in the 8 directions. And so he made 8 sannyasis, and they got all 2 years to take care of the deities. And then so one sannyasi for 2 years was worshipping the deity. So he made a system. And the other 7 sannyasis, they are supposed to preach. And then after 14 years, they get a chance to serve the deity. But they were trained and they got a chance one time, but then they were very eager to do the seva because they were studying the scriptures, they're chanting the holy names, and so then the purity is there, and then the love will be there, and then they can do the seva nicely. And then, so every 14 years only you get the seva. And so in this way, so the seva is going on very nicely. And and there was one of the acharyas who made it 5 times. He got his term, 5 times 14 years. So he was maybe just, I think recently he left his body. No, 90. Yeah, because he was maybe 20, he was sannyasi, and then he started.
So it means he was a senior sannyasi?
Yeah, at that time, yeah, because it was the beginning when he started. No, that was of course later. He was a junior and then he was a senior sannyasi.
So it means also there's always one senior sannyasi?
There's one senior and one junior sannyasi. Yeah. And then when the elder one is getting old, then he will give the seva also to the junior one, and then he become the senior also. So in this way, it was established by Madhvacharya, and he was empowered personality. So great. Whatever the great acharyas are doing is great. How we can give an opinion. So what he did was wonderful, was great, and very nice seva. And actually then also here they have every day they have parikrama, so it's a very nice program they have, and you can get free prasadam there if you go there. Very nice sattvic prasadam, and they serve you on the leaf plates, banana leaf plates. It's not too spicy. Very sattvic, very nice. So there's a nice seva is going on, and so of course, not after some time actually, so they have a slightly different presentation of the absolute truth than we have. Of course, so Mahaprabhu, he accepted initiation in the Madhva Sampradaya, but then there was a slight different understanding between Mahaprabhu and then the followers of Madhvacharya. But Mahaprabhu, he accepted them, and so we accept them. And so Mahaprabhu, he was very respectful to the different Vaishnavas, although they may have some different understandings, like Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. So they're worshipping Ramchandra or Sitaram, so whereas we are concentrating on worshipping Radha Krishna. Even Madhvacharya, so they worship Krishna, of course Krishna holding a laddu in the hand, so some kind of Vatsalya Bhav is there, and some own reverence is there also in the worship. So it is not completely what Mahaprabhu came to give. So what he wanted to give is Braj Bhakti, and especially the loving moods of the gopis, Unadujjala Ras. So therefore there is a slight difference between Madhva Sampradaya and then our Sampradaya, although we belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. But in the beginning, before Mahaprabhu, it was natural to have the worship of the Lord with some own reverence, worshipping Krishna also more with some own reverence, as Dvarkadish, as Vasudev Krishna. But so what the acharyas have established, so that we are accepting, and there's and we cannot, no question of challenging that, or not approving or approving. But then even we can see Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so he established the Gaudiya Math temples. And in the Math usually only the brahmacharis and sannyasis were staying, except a few widows were staying there also sometimes. He was giving shelter to those who were renounced. But he was initiating householders also, But in the mat, only those who were renounced. Brahmacharis or sannyasis or vanaprasthas, men or women also. So some, but not many women were there. And then naturally the seva was done by the brahmacharis or sometimes even the sannyasis. Even you can see nowadays sometimes sannyasis are doing the worship in the temple, but not exclusively, but they're preaching also. So that is there in the Gaudiya Math also established by Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. And still up to this day, it is continuing in this way, that the Math is more for those who are renounced. And those who want to get married, they will stay outside and they do their business, whatever they want. There may be brahmanas also, and then they may do yagyas and samskars. So that is there. So whereas Prabhupada, in our society, he welcomed everyone and he wanted to establish in the society Vana ashram. Whereas Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so he also was preaching Daivi Vana ashram and was also mentioning that we have to establish Vana ashram. But in the Math, he wanted mainly those who were renounced to stay. So whereas Prabhupada, he welcomed everyone in ISKCON, and within ISKCON he wanted to establish Varnashram, and therefore he wanted farm communities for that purpose. So the acharyas, according to time, place and circumstances, they will have some slight different ways of introducing or establishing Krishna consciousness according to time, place, circumstances. But then we accept the acharya, what he has done. But then even if we can see in ISKCON, like then you may see that sometimes then some of the disciples of Prabhupada, the sannyasis, they made also, like for example Tamakrishna Goswami, he made on Giriraj Maharaj that one palace in Govardhan, and that is also only for brahmacharis to stay, because it is a small place. Only brahmacharis or sannyasis are staying there. And even Mangalartik, only brahmacharis and sannyasis. But then after that, for darshan, or even you can go and take prasadam there, they will cook also for if some grihastas are coming there, they want to eat something, then they will also give, and they can take darshan also, no problem. So they may be there. And but actually Prabhupada, he wanted that to establish one ashram. So, and therefore, then, I mean, even myself I was thinking many times, so then even planning sometimes, but then to put in reality is not easy. But so actually when we got married and then daughter was born, and then seeing that she has to go to school, normal school, which is not ideal, then I was thinking actually, and then I realized also the importance of Vana ashram that we should have. And then when you have Vana ashram, then you have the temple in the center, and then you have the place where the brahmanas are staying, or then even you have the place where the sannyasis or brahmacharis are staying, and then you have the place where those who are who are managers maybe, or those who are doing business, and then ordinary devotees may stay in one place. So if something like this can be established, so that makes the things sometimes a little easier. So, and that is actually Divan Ashram, which is there even in South India. They have that also in South India, where the brahmanas are staying. Even in Srirangam, it is there, where the brahmanas are staying, would take care of the deities. But then I stayed in one place where there were only the sannyasi was there, and then other sannyasis were there, and brahmacharis. So, I mean, for practical reason, actually Varnashram is there, and then you have less difficulties, less problems actually in dealings amongst the Vaishnavas also. Otherwise, you will have a little more problems. So, but if everything is according to scriptures, according to Vana ashram, and then everyone, and of course difficulties are always there, and you cannot have a perfect system especially in the age of Kali. So, but if we try, then it is a little easier maybe, if we have a kind of system according to the scriptures, according to the acharyas, and then then one may be able to more peacefully engage in Krishna consciousness, a little more peacefully, but difficulties will always be there in this world. That is unavoidable. Any question? So Nirapeksha Vaishnavas not required to worship the deities because that would hinder their quality of being free from all external requirements and dependencies. They remain engaged in serving Sri Radhavallabh through service carried out by the internally conceived spiritual form, Manasi Seva. So the sannyasis, by chanting the holy names, so they may do Manasi Seva, worshipping Radha Krishna in the mind. So that is then required for the sannyasis. And so they may not have to externally worship the deities. But usually first you have to externally worship the deities and then you may do Manasi Seva. And therefore usually even the brahmacharis, usually they are supposed to engage in some deity worship. Yes?
The sannyasis, when they're doing Manasi Seva, they're worshipping Krishna.
Yeah, of course.
So what about Madhvacharya Sampradaya? Because they're worshipping kind of small Krishna.
Yeah.
So what sannyasis, what they're meditating? Also Radha Krishna?
No, mostly they worship Krishna
As a child.
as a child, Vatsalya Bhav, or sometimes, I mean, they know that that is actually Vasudev Krishna according to them. Vasudev Krishna.
What they're worshipping.
Yeah.
Why is it worshiping, like, why is it in Vatsalya?
Because Krishna is there, Udupi Krishna. He is like almost like a child and he has a laddo in the hand. But still, but the thing is,
Madhvacharya was in Vatsalya?
well, but still they understand, actually there's a kind of also some Aishwarya Bhav is there. Because they understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So they are worshipping the Supreme Lord, Vasudev Krishna.
As a child.
Well, but it,
Because
no,
as a child, Krishna was not a Vasudeva Krishna. He was none other.
But he's the son of Vasudeva and Devaki also. He's the son of Vasudeva and
But
Devaki.
when they small child, not
Yeah.
from the birth, they're not worshipping the baby one day.
No.
So he came to Vrindavan one day. So because they're worshipping small Krishna, and small Krishna.
Udupi Krishna.
Yeah, okay, child. And those pastimes we only see. We don't really see Mathura pastimes.
No.
So then how do they
But,
worship as
yeah.
Vasudeva Krishna?
But you see, because they have some own reverence, and because they know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, so it is not pure Braj Bhav. They don't have pure Braj Bhav. And therefore even, so they have, like throughout the year, they have different Vesh for Udupi Krishna. Even have a book of, there's one of the Acharyas, he has every day a different Vesh for Udupi Krishna. So sometimes showing even as Durga Devi or something like that. So different manifestations. So they see Krishna as the Supreme Lord. That is the main thing. And we are the servants of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And he was there, they know that they have knowledge also. That Krishna was in Braj, Krishna was in Mathura, Krishna is in Dwarka. So, and so most probably, appears to be that most probably then their goal would be to go to Mathura or maybe to Dwarka. But that we have to find out in detail what is their mood.
Okay.
But they have some Aishwarya Bhav, that is for sure.
But also
Yes.
Then there's a higher, like rasa or higher.
Yes.
So how they can stay just on the lower rasa? Now in Braj we can understand they're complete. Each rasa is complete.
Yeah.
But when you're going through
No, but that is also complete. Even, for example, devotee of Ram, he has love for Ram. He may know about Krishna also in Braj, and he hears about the gopis, but he will not be attracted to that. Same, I was in South India as a brahmachari, and I was there staying in the mat of a sannyasi, and so he understood about Mahaprabhu, and he had heard about the philosophy of Mahaprabhu, and he understood that Radha Krishna is actually the highest form of worship. But then he said, I respect Radha Krishna, I respect Mahaprabhu, but my love is for Sitaram. And also I have love for Lakshminarayan. But he was more worshipping Sitaram. But he had heard about Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, but just like Murari Gupta. So, what?
He was this Murari Gupta, like,
Yes.
he was not happy with something.
Murari Gupta isn't it the Balika also?
Yeah.
It's
But
a little different. But when someone is just doing their sadhana, I'm talking about at that time.
yeah.
Then for example, this Venkat Bhattacharya also from South India. He was worshipping Sitaram, right?
Yeah.
Lakshminarayan. But then after he heard from Mahaprabhu, he became a devotee.
Right.
So that was in his sadhaka stage.
Yeah, but actually is also associate of the Lord, and that is a pastime of the Lord.
So what about
Yeah.
what to say about the devotees who are just in the sadhaka stage?
Yes.
So that's a little difficult to understand that.
Well, the sadhana, usually there's the arrangement of the Lord also. And the Lord will arrange that those who are supposed to become worshippers of Radha Krishna, they will join ISKCON, they will join Gaudiya Math. And then, yeah. And those who belong to Lakshminarayan, they will go to South India. Or even here in Vrindavan,
This Muluk,
even, yeah.
that's Maharaj.
Yeah, or even there's a what's called Ranganath temple here. Even here, just behind this Radhipriya Dham, there's also a temple, which is a branch from them, Ranganath temple. So even here in Braj, the devotees of Lakshminarayan, even Balram Baba, he's worshipping Sitaram also, but he knows Radha Krishna, but he has love for Sitaram. Even Rajendra Das Maharaj, he's more a devotee of Ram, but he also knows about Radha Krishna. He speaks about the Radha and Krishna, and he has more knowledge than many of our devotees.
Yes.
Because he studies also the books of the Acharyas, but the love is more Sitaram, and he will not change. So because he belongs there, and by the arrangement of the Lord, even here, because in Braj you can find everything. Okay. Jai. Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, Jai Krishna Balaram. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.